And I want to welcome to the stage a good friend of mine, the CMO of G2, has been the CMO at Drata, as well as an incredible run at SalesLoft, Miss Sydney Sloan. Welcome.
Thank you. It is good to be here.
It's good to have you. Good to have you.
We were told we have to really speak into the mics,
And
so we're going to do that.
So fun fact, my background, I spent 4 years before starting the fund at Outreach, and Sydney was 4 years at SalesLoft. If you know anything about that space, it was a decently competitive battle. And for my sake, I am very happy that we can be friends again and we're on the same team again. But yeah,
Never not friends, but it was real.
Yeah.
It's emotionally deep. Yeah.
frenemies for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, you had such an incredible run at SalesLoft, and now see you doing it again at G2. But I think, let's get right into it. What we're talking about is your specialty, and it's 5 ways to build brand awareness. And I think everyone in this room feels like the game has changed in a pretty meaningful way. I think I started noticing what we call best practices probably 4 or 5 years ago start to all get diminishing returns. And it kind of just kept happening year over year. It was getting harder and harder to do things. And now it feels like the first time we have some tools to fight back with, the rise of AI. So maybe let's start with, as we've entered this new landscape, I think it's just as important to let go of old best practices that are no longer working, just as important as adopting new ones. So what are you seeing, kind of tried and true things that worked throughout your career that are no longer working anymore?
I've been doing this for decades and decades, and never before, I think, have we seen such a transformation in go-to-market that gives the new starters a clear advantage, like the AI first orientation. But in my CMO circles, so we're all. It was actually interesting. I will tell a story.
Yeah.
So I was at Drata, as you mentioned, and we competed against Vanta. I don't know why I stepped into another dogfight, but I did.
Yes,
I just
me in the book.
glutton for punishment. But all of a sudden, we watched, our lead flow, our meeting bookings intensely because we ran a monthly system. And all of a sudden, SEO was like 5% down and then 10% down. And I'm like, what is happening? And I went and met with Google and I just had this hypothesis. I was like, this Gemini thing keeps answering questions now when people are doing searches. Maybe that's having an impact. And I Googled what's happening and nothing had come up yet. So it was like literally like April, May of last year when people started moving their searches to LLMs. Actually, that was October when Gemini started showing up. And G2's, two-sided marketplace. And so our business was built on the fact that people would go search for something and we would page rank higher and then convert people to our website. So we felt that pain acutely. On average, search volume, traffic back to websites is down somewhere between 10 and 25%, depending. If you max optimize, like HubSpot, they're down 70%. So it's a fundamental shift. And so the things that I would say that used to work that don't work anymore are just content for the sake of content. And Google is punishing AI first content because it was so easy to generate content using AI tools. And so they pick up on that now. So that shift is going from SEO to what now is being called AIO, AI optimization. And then also the investment in PPC. So because now when you go to a page, your sponsored ads are actually below the fold because Gemini is taking up the first 40% of the page. Organic is on the second page. And that space is getting taken up. So PPC is also increasing. We can break those down in terms of kind of what I've learned. But just the whole organic and paid mix is completely in shift.
Yeah. How many people in this room are still using Google to search for answers that they have? still quite a few. Um, who's clicking on links versus just getting the information you need from Gemini to answer up top? Okay, so no one's no one is. What,
Oh, fun fact.
maybe
Yeah.
stage.
So here's the fun fact on that. So we just did a recent study on it. And what Google will tell you is that search is up on Google actually 9%, but click-through rates are down 25%. So that means 25% of the time, the Gemini answer solves the person's curiosity of what they were searching for.
And I know this is all super new, so I'm probably putting you on the spot a little bit, but have you found any strategies to position yourself better for the to show up in the answer of Gemini or influence that in some way?
Yep. So there are strategies. I started a little CMO AI club here in the Valley. So there's about 20 of us that meet once a month. And we just did a deep dive on Ramp. And I don't know if anybody knows G. Kyung. He's kind of a cool guy.
He's incredible.
Um, and so write this one down. The company's called growthx.ai. We want to make things actionable for your all's time. And so what they did, it was the gentleman that founded it, and I think he just took his seed round. Is he was writing his own LLMs, and then he figured out how to string the LLMs to or his prompts together to create a product. And the strategy is that you now focus on the persona jobs to be done idea versus writing content for search. You actually write content for jobs to be done against personas, and he has a whole model of how that's done. We've also switched to that model. So we have about maybe 60 writers plus AI tools that we're writing for SEO optimization across 1,900 categories. Kind of a big deal. And so listicles are doing much better. And this idea of expert like coming from experts. So other things that we're seeing, interestingly, is that the where we all stopped doing PR for a long time, people going back to that, because if you can do syndicated articles in like a Forbes or Fast Company. Those are contributed. It doesn't cost a lot actually to be a Forbes contributor. It's like $1,400, but you get the Forbes brand behind you, and those are being indexed strongly in the LLMs. Last thing, there's another company, and I'm not sure it's like founder pricing yet, but it's called Profound. And they're a Bay Area startup backed by Khosla. And they're the only company we've found so far that is actually doing the tracking across the LLMs to see how your brands perform. And so for G2, that means that we're tracking. We want to make sure, hey, our content, the review content is still showing up as the answers. Even if they don't click through, we can still prove the reach of G2 through those sites. And also to understand, well, what are people searching for and where do we show up? And should we be doing other things to optimize our content for those, the questions that are being asked? So it's a complete shift in understanding your persona, what are their jobs to be done, and in a conversational format, writing content for that.
Mhm. And that was Profound? Is the
Profound, yeah.
That's cool. So
And
they
GrowthX. Those are my two tips.
almost like tracking sentiment and how many times you're showing up across LLMs and like top 10 lists and things.
Yep.
Super cool. Super cool. And I think what you mentioned about Fast Company and Forbes, I've seen the rise of this. And I think for a while, I don't know about everyone in this room, but it almost felt like cringe for a little bit that everyone was like, I know you're paying for this article, but you're saying because they're such a top authority, they're influencing a lot of these LLMs again.
Yep.
Interesting.
So the LLMs are indexing them higher. It's also because um, the publications are doing deals with because of their content reach. They've done deals with OpenAI and those others. That's why Reddit is also showing up, because they did a deal with Google. If you didn't track that, that's why Reddit's taken over. So it's like, Google, what did you do? You just gave your business to Reddit. So literally, because now Reddit for business is becoming a hot thing. I'd say if you're a developer, I would definitely be investing in Reddit. Other ones, I'm not sure yet, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's why.
It's a good one. And it's like what, $1,500 to get?
That's when last I checked, and 15 or 16, something like that. Yeah.
Awesome. Let's continue down that vein a little bit. I think there, from before, this big push into AI, there was this movement towards just like individuals, content from individuals performing way better, whether it's on social media, better than brand content. In this new world, are you seeing that be more powerful,
Yeah.
empowering maybe your founder or then customers to have a voice versus your brand itself?
Yes, absolutely. Um, so this is interesting. It's like the rise of the B2B influencer. They actually have an agent now. There's this guy out of Toronto, actually, that's repping a bunch of the sales and marketing influencers. And I would use the example that Clay, if those of you follow Clay, good partner of G2's, I mean, they've been around for a while, and then they just kind of hit this moment in time with their waterfall data approach, and they built relationships and partnerships with some of these B2B influencers that and we're working with all of them as well. It's like it still has to be natural to what they do. That's not as bad as a TikTok sponsored or Instagram influencer, but they will promote posts. And so all of a sudden, all these influencers were talking about Clay. Lavender did it too a while ago, and so there are these people out there that you can get feedback because they are experts in their industry, and then they can help you with your promotion where their reach on LinkedIn is very high. The other thing that I've seen is the founder brand. And LinkedIn is getting harder and harder as well because when you think about the real estate available on LinkedIn, they're really pushing the video content. And because people are moving off of Google and onto LinkedIn, it is getting more costly, and you're competing more for that precious space of where they allowed you to put sponsored ads. I don't know how many are super users, but they're also now letting you boost your own post for like $70.
I didn't even know
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah. So put your credit card down, individuals, and so you can boost your own post to see how it does. So they're looking at all these different ways to do that. So my recommendation for founders is to find your voice, find your rhythm. You have to post at least twice a week to even show up. So you really do need to like commit to it. Find your point of view, and then the other tricks. I just reposted this. You want to comment the first 15 minutes after you post. You want to like set aside time because you want to comment, and that boosts the algorithm as well. It constantly changes. You have to be studying it all along. But that people do listen to founders. There's one other hack here. Um, I don't know if you know Mark P. Young. Mark P. Jung.
Oh, from it used to be a Dooley.
It used to
Yeah.
be a Dooley. This dude can hack LinkedIn like nobody's business. I'm giving all these, and so he has started a new business, helping founders boost their LinkedIn profiles, and it's incredible. And he's limited. I think there's just two or three of them doing it, so he only had like 10 clients at a time. But I'm talking 100 followers to 20,000 follower type work.
Wow.
Yeah. So it depends on how comfortable you are handing that over, but it doesn't hurt to boost your reach as a founder. And I think, LinkedIn is becoming more and more of a premium platform because of that B2B audience. So
Yeah, no, LinkedIn for my own personal career and the fund and outreach and sales hacker before that has been huge. Of the founders in the audience, how many of you are actually posting on LinkedIn like twice a week or more? A good amount. A good.
Doug, you're doing a great job. I comment on your stuff all the time. It's authentic. Yeah, it's good.
So what I hear a lot from founders in our portfolio is, I'm running a business. I don't have time to be an influencer. I can't be on LinkedIn all the time. Um, I would love for you to share a story because I imagine you were the brains and the one who empowered Kyle at SalesLoft to really go all in on his brand. And he was incredibly busy. I don't know how big, SalesLoft was at the time, but, $1 billion plus business. Um, what did it look like empowering him so we didn't have to spend hours and hours and
Yeah.
hours, but still get the output?
Well, in the early days, he did commit to content. So the Sales Loft blog
Yeah.
was a high traffic during the early days. I joined right at the Series C, so we're at 16 million left when we got the Vista investment. The day it closed, I was gone. We just say, and so, but we were, what 2 billion at that point in valuation. Um, and for Kai, I think it's different. So you have to find what works for you. He didn't want to write anything that wouldn't evoke an emotion. So you couldn't write for him. And so what we did is we had like a couple of like a check-in once a week, and I would come with ideas, and then he would come with ideas, and we'd start talking. And as soon as something sparked, he'd be like, "Okay, hold off," and he'd just write it out. And at the time, LinkedIn had this scheduled post like ability, and they still have it. You just have to. It's more personal than the platform that they had. So just schedule your post. Jeremy Donovan was another amazing LinkedIn poster, and he just created a formula, his Hey Salespeople formula. And he just, when he got inspired, he'd write like 15 or 20 of them in an Excel doc and then just copy and paste them over. So, I mean, it just really is what works for you. The other thing that I would say is long form content. LinkedIn also likes that. So use their blogging platform for long form content, and they'll give you benefit of doing that because they want you to use their platform. The last thing is, and one that I haven't cracked the nut on, and I'm actually meeting with the product leader at LinkedIn that's running their video, because as a consumer, I'm not enjoying it. I don't need 20-year-olds talking to me about how cool it is to work in tech. And so, sorry. Uh,
I think you're good.
it is well, it is cool to work in tech, but I want content that's curated for me, and so I'm gonna talk to, I think it's a her, and also try and figure out it's sound quality, it's video quality, and the frequency as well. But they definitely are trying to favor high quality video. So you could test that out. I just don't have the answer for you because I don't know the answer yet.
Yeah.
Out
Yeah,
of
it
it
feels
be
like
20.
it feels like, yeah, there's a bit of a TikTokification
Yes,
happening
on happening.
on LinkedIn. And yeah, our experience with video is like it's a really weird one because it doesn't perform very well, but then a lot of people see it and reference it. So it might not get you the impressions, but people can kind of asynchronously get to know you much better than your written posts. So I think it is worth still testing.
And YouTube, sorry.
And
You want me to go riff there?
yes, yeah.
So what's happening in YouTube is, it's the next, frontier to be indexed by the LLMs. And, it's actually more content on YouTube than there was on the internet when you look at the amount of time that's there. So I think we're gonna see a resurgence of a YouTube strategy, as well, the way that Google's promoting their new ad platforms to be multi-threaded, that they're pushing hard on YouTube. So it'll be interesting to see how that gets indexed, how that gets consumed through the LLMs. But it's again, in the CMO circles I'm in, we're all like, should we go back to YouTube, and what would that look like?
Good thing this talk will be on YouTube.
Yeah. See, hello.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, YouTube's happened to a moment. We're seeing it as well. Talk to me about Reddit. It's something I know very little about. But what I'm seeing is the retargeting is really good. Last time, like I was purchasing software, I was getting hyper relevant ads more so than I would on any other platform. What's your experience with Reddit so far?
Well, they did the brilliant deal with Google, early days, and what the whole idea, and you guys are founders, you probably know this, but the number of tokens, they treat every conversation as a token, and it's can be very customized. So it's parsed to be relevant depending on the AI searches, and so they doubled down on that in their Reddit for Business push. So they're trying to get people to sign up for the Reddit to Business profile, which is less anonymous, I believe. Might be wrong. Um, and uh, and because of that, they are showing up on searches more, and so it's drawing more audience back into the Reddit platform. And so their traffic, they're one of the few where their traffic has significantly gone up in this transformation because of that deal. So they are hard at work. We're in many conversations there right now to see if there's kind of a G2 Reddit thing that might be interesting. But yeah, that's what we know so far.
Cool. And do you have someone on your marketing team like looking at different threads where G2 might be relevant and they're like tagging in customers to relevant things, or do you have an approach there? Yeah.
Not, no, we don't. Interesting. As a CMO, I would have. And I know our product team like tracks all the different mentions and looks for trends more for content.
Mm.
But we've talked about we have our super users we call icons. So we've talked about should they be on Reddit or not? Like I don't know yet. It's very early days. So the answer is no.
Cool.
Not that I wouldn't do it if I was a CMO of a software company.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, last one as we're quickly running out of time is personalization in this new age. And I know you have a few kind of steps. Do you want to break down different ways people should be thinking about personalization?
So I mean, this is a call for founders. Like, first of all, uh, the networks you build are super powerful, and don't be ever afraid to ask people. Just don't pull me out. Don't ever be afraid to ask people for introductions, for sure, and to get the most out of your investors. That's why these operator funds exist. We've all invested, and we are vested, and some founders use it better than others, I find. And so shame on you if you're not, because those networks are huge. So leverage the network. I have this idea of being a secret shopper, and when you're doing personalized outreach to prospects, be a customer first. It's an oldie but a goodie, and people forget to do it. And so when you're trying to get to the C-suite and get people's attention, you got to teach them something they don't already know. And the easiest thing to talk to them about is the experience as a customer or as a prospect. And it doesn't take a long time, right? So I used to have people like do vidyards of that, but it's like, hey, I tried to be your customer and I got stuck here. That CEO will take that call every single day. And so again, like 10 minutes of going through a sign up process, finding two things that they could do better opens up a door that your SDRs would never, be able to do. I just like that one sticks with me. It's like, why don't more people do that? This was a successful referral programs. Anybody do referral programs right now? A little bit. That's with
A little.
that is shocking, right? So if you figured out what your cost is to create a meeting, that's where I'd set the fee. And there's platforms out there. I did this because Vanta did it. Every customer they had, for every referral, they would give them cold hard cash. And you would be surprised what incentivizes people. It's cold hard cash. That's why surveys at G2 are all,
I don't know why I'm surprised.
crazy. So to take their time and effort to get $1,000 for referral, that you can do it two ways. You can pay referral for the meeting, or you can pay referral for the opportunity. They're two different levels. And so you get to decide. You could even A/B test it, what's most valuable to you. But referral programs work. They really do. And then I think we talked a lot about the founder-led, your thought leadership, your social profile. Your brand is the company's brand, and people are going to trust you and read your content more than going to read the brand content. So that's where you should put your focus.
I love it. I'll just tag on to number one. And now on the VC side of the house, I spent probably about 20% of my time at outreach, actually leveraging our VC network. And it was a huge unlock of just like having someone who's solely focused on unlocking that network is massive. And founders don't always have time to do it. So you can even put like your VP of BD or like a strategic account executive that you really trust that's just always trying to extract value because they want to help. They just don't always know how to help. So it's a big one.
Yeah, and there's some networks out there too. Maybe you guys remember the names of it, but like the introduction networks. Is it?
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's a big one right now. I just can't remember.
Okay, we'll find it. We'll find it and we'll put it in the comments. Yeah. Atlas.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Perfect. Well, we probably have time for like one question. And Sydney, I think you'll be hanging out for a bit. So can do live Q&A as well. But if anyone has a question, the floor is yours.
Just talk a little bit, double click on the clay flywheel that they got going, because that was so impressive with what they put together.
Sure. So the question is the clay flywheel as it related to their launch and building their brand. Yes. So, like they said, they'd been around for a while. It was kind of a database company, and then all of a sudden they came out of nowhere. And I don't know how many influencers they had. I think it was at least 10. So when you add up,
It's more.
was it more?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was over 50. They approached me. They were approaching.
Okay.
They used a company called Limelight, I think it's called, and they handle all of it. You basically like set your target parameters, and they think they went out to like most people I know, to do it, and they paid up. It was like 2,500 to 5,000. Like it wasn't a small amount, but I think proof is per post. Yeah. I didn't go that far. It might have been like an engagement of like a few, but they definitely paid up for it. So yeah, they were paying. And then the other thing is, I think they just gave a voice to people that don't typically have a voice. Like they went all in on like the RevOps, more technical buyer, which is at least something I noticed he did quite well.
Yes. And then they paid through with product because their product
Yeah.
actually does work. And they continue to get their customers to advocate. So, yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, Sydney, thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you sharing with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Amazing.